we pick winners and put money behind it so that exports can go up, and exports of services is critical, particularly technology based services. It is all about, creating an opportunity, looking at the trends about future of jobs. It's not labor intensive, it is machine intensive. It will have an impact on the ruling coalition because in the old school, they are used to dole out money rather than giving a policy response. IMF bailout, first of all, is not new to Pakistan. It is, the 24th time we have negotiated, a program. In between, we also have interim, which we call standby arrangements. But this extended fund facility is usually for 7 months. The repayment period is between 5 to 10 years, and the interest rate ranges around, 5% or so. So that is the structure. Now, Pakistan will get $1.1 billion, in next 30 days, and then there will be 6 monthly progress reviews under which the remaining installments, will be dispersed. Now, what does it mean for Pakistan? Actually, Pakistan, I would like to divide in two parts. What does it mean for government of Pakistan is that it will ease down their, external payment pressure. Because once IMF money comes in, so the other multilaterals, the ADBs and the World Banks and few others also start disbursing after IMF stamps it. So they get more money, their reserves get strengthened, and they can make external payments, with less fear. The fear doesn't go away because the gap is chronic, but still, now they have a support system for 3 years. Second part, it's good for the government in the sense is, if government takes it in that way, that it will push governments to do, some financial management reforms, both on the monetary side in the state bank, that how the interest rate is to be managed, how exchange rate is to be managed, and on the fiscal side, that how to rationalize taxation and, how to meet targets, how not to dole out money through subsidies, So there are two sides that there are reforms. If there is a progressive government, they will take it positively and use it and reform it. I spoke to the finance minister yesterday in New York. He was upbeat that we will do reforms, but reform has our track record is not good. So first challenge is that can we really follow this whole package, which is now, it speaks about reforms in monetary and fiscal policy. It speaks about reforms in management of state-owned enterprises. It speaks about changing the way we create competition and open up space for markets. It speaks about, how to pass on benefits to the lower end of the population. Now, in Pakistan, the numbers are that, almost 100 million people are at the poverty line or below. There is a similar amount, which is the fixed income or contract or wage employees, who work in Pakistan. Their consumption power has eroded in the past 2 years because of very high inflation. Now inflation is going down, but that does not translate into prices going down. So that pressure of expensive things and less consumption capability will continue haunting that class. In the IMF program, normally the growth does not revive rapidly because IMF slows down the money supply and you can't really make state investments into sectors which can yield, wealth creation. So Pakistan needs to, at the moment we are projecting 2.5%. I will be very surprised if the growth crosses 4% in 3 years because under the fund, it will remain. Now, what does it mean? It means that businesses might not expand the way they should be. Job creation might not come the way we would expect because it's a large population country and young people coming in the labor market. That also means that there's a major political challenge that the governments who like to dole out monies to M&As, through schemes and through subsidies, they might not be able to do it because there's no fiscal space left and IMF will very closely watch it. It will have an impact on the ruling coalition because in the old school, they are used to dole out money rather than giving a policy response. I see 3 difficult years for ordinary, Pakistani elites have a different world. But the ordinary people will should be ready to tighten their belts for the next 3 years. Now, is there an opportunity for Pakistan? Once again, it gives us a space in which we can plan in a manner for few things. For instance, we need 15% increase in our exports every year so that we need not to go to IMF because of our chronic external payment imbalance. Now, can we have a cutting edge, industrial and IT policy of exports and cut down, subsidies and protection to sectors which are not competitive, where Pakistan's comparative advantage is not there? We invest, we pick winners and put money behind it so that exports can go up, and exports of services is critical, particularly technology based services. We need to add value. We need to create opportunities for the young people. And so now this is a policy response. The current structure of economy does not support 250 million people in terms of giving us essential, even food items. But we are dependent on exports. The chronic things are two. One is very high import pressure, and second is a very high fiscal deficit. Will the program fix the chronic budget deficit and government cut down its expenditure? That is a question to be seen. So far, I see little movement on that direction. But I do see pressures on informal economy. I do see pressures on, they have finished this non-filer thing, which is a good thing. So it's a mixed thing, but can Pakistan bring in, lastly, if we want to benefit this time from the space which IMF is giving us and come up with a game plan to set the direction towards a progressive economy, we need to create space for world-class professionals to help us. The current state machinery and bureaucracy will not be able to do it, and we should not live in, any illusion about it. So my take is that we need to create this space ASAP. Pakistan does not afford fragmentation and friction, which I see in the power structure at the moment. They should all focus on setting a direction rather than, basically correcting rather than playing games to stay in power and, create institutional tensions, because the message doesn't go well to international institutions and investors and markets. So that's, it's a mixed bag. You can actually use it as an opportunity, or you can do what you have been doing for years, not completing it. The moment it gets a little better, you start coming into expansionary spending, spree, and then you go back to the fund. So that is my assessment of this loan package.
That's very interesting. And honestly, being a young person myself, I often think that, you're talking about a lot of these consequences that we won't see for the next 10 years. And with the stage of brain drain and where the youth is going in Pakistan at the moment, I wonder, what does this mean for us?
Look, Pakistan still, if you look at it, there are almost 60 to 70% people under the age of 30. Now, for these people, they really want dignified economic opportunities, okay? Or they want a skill set which can help them find opportunities even outside Pakistan. And that is actually a good thing, because remittances also add to Pakistan's foreign exchange position. Unfortunately, our ruling class and the current, elite, they do not connect with these young people's aspirations. So what it means for you is that A, we need to invest more to understand what is the future of jobs. Are we training young people in the right direction? We need to create the young labor force and human resource with the markets, both in Pakistan, but also in the region. Because there is a demand in Gulf countries, there is a demand in Japan. So we need to link up. And that is where private sector's role to polish the skills once you graduate and prepare those for taking those opportunities. We need to train people for online working, platforms. So this is the challenge, but I say a cutting edge policy where resources are diverted from traditional ways of, dealing with things. So it is all about, creating an opportunity, looking at the trends about future of jobs. It's not labor intensive, it is machine intensive. It is basically not necessarily traditional industry. It is more innovation, and it is more, technology based, industry. Now, this is something, which government needs to do. Current bureaucracy, I just said, might not be able to do it. So we need to see what other countries have done and bring in expertise. Whatever policy Pakistan makes in this space, Pakistan needs to focus on four things. Number one, creating opportunities for the young labor force. Number two, increasing value added exports. Number three, bringing in emerging technologies in Pakistan rather than going through a very basic structure of economy. And most importantly, change the structure of economy which can cater to Pakistan's demands in the next 50 years or so. It's a painful, long process, but direction needs to be set.